Hello, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com. You see me, I'm all slicked up. You see, I even got my sandals on. I'm fixing to go to see you later kind of party. And a friend of mine, their son, is going to the Air Force. And it's it's kind of funny because you hear all these old vets giving him advice and telling him what to do and stuff, you know, what's going to happen and all this kind of stuff. And it started me thinking. But you know, there's a big difference in the different branches of the military. And in the Marines in 1967, when I went in, and it was wartime, our boot camp was 8 weeks long. Now, I've already made videos under crappy Vietnam stories, so. But anyway, but I didn't think about this stuff. This story isn't in there. But when we went, I went to Kansas City, did my physical, and there was 12 of us joining the Marines. And so we did our physical, and we loaded up on a train. We took a train out to San Diego. And that was a story in its own, and that was a fun story too. But anyway, I do remember when we got off the bus. Well, got off the train, and we had a lot of fun. And when we then the Marine guy came and had us all line up and started yelling at us and getting ugly. That was my first fear. And then we loaded up on the bus, and boy, he was nasty. And like I say, I was in fear. And we took the bus, and then we weren't allowed to talk. Your eyes couldn't move, can't look around. I mean, it was they were very strict. And so we got to Camp Pendleton, got off the bus, and they had these footprints on the ground, and that's where we stood on the footprints. And then from there, let's see. I'm still kind of mixed up on how everything in the order it all went, because like I say, I was in total fear. I didn't poop for a week. I mean my butt just like that. And so we stood there, and they explained some of the basic rules right to start off with. Like I say, the first word that comes out of your mouth is sir, and the last word that comes out of your mouth is sir. And you don't say anything unless somebody says something to you. So we ended up, I think they called it, well, we all lined up and packed, I mean, single file, I mean, stuffed together. And I can't remember what they said, but it was nasty. I mean, they were foul-mouthed just right from the very start. I mean, I thought I knew what badasses were, but no, it wasn't. And so we went in, and we made a postcard, send it back home, letting them know that we made it there. And then we had a box. They gave us a box, and then we took all of our clothes, all of our belongings, everything. You have nothing. You're down to bare nothing. I guess when we first went in, we walked in there, and they gave us, you know, a pair of pants and boxer shorts and a t-shirt and boots, and you know. So we lined up, went in, we got all of our stuff, and then we went over there. They gave us a box. We took all of our clothes, all of our possessions, put it in the box, and they told us that's the end of the life that you know of. And from this moment on, you'll never be the same. And so we dumped everything, we got dressed, we went over to the next room, got our haircuts. I mean, buzzed. I mean, it was just not even maybe a crew cut, you might want to call it. And that was the end of our life. And then, like I say, so we went from doing that after we got our haircuts. Then they put us in formation, and that was the first thing that they were teaching us, is how to be in formation and trying to march and trying to march together. I mean, and the reason is all through boot camp and I say advanced infantry training. We ran from one location to the other location, wherever our classes are and stuff like that. We ran. We never had a ride. And like I say, we would be issued other equipment as we went on, but we had to learn to be in formation, and that's the only way they could control us. You know, if you got you got 50 guys, and trying to get them to go from one location to another is a real pain in the ass. It's not when you're Marines. I mean, they just all get in formation and they start going. Either you're marching or double time and this type of stuff. So, and like I say, we were explained all the rules, and we had some classes. The main thing was learning the Marine Corps history, and because like I say, it's a big thing. We learn to be I don't know how you say it. Well, we've for one thing, we are not individuals anymore. Going through training, you're not an individual. And then after the training, then that's when you start becoming an individual and you take personal responsibility. But during the training, that really wasn't the main thing. The main thing was, like I say, learning what we represent. And we lose all of our own person, our own personal character, our own. You lose everything, and then they rebuild you. All this is done in 8 weeks, and so when you come out of the training in 8 weeks, what you've learned is, sir, yes, sir, or you learn how to take orders, and you learn. You do things one step at a time. That's where you hear me come up with this KISS, K-I-S-S. Keep it simple, stupid. And so that's why we break it all down like that during training, boot camp. And then after that, like I say, you go into, like I say, most of us went into infantry training, and but there's some that go into the air wing and this type of stuff. But like I say, at this point, you already know how to take responsibility. Now it goes into personal responsibility. You hear me talk a lot about personal responsibility. Well, that's where that comes from. And then when we were doing infantry training, I say it's advanced infantry training, and you really think you're learning something, but the reality is the training is nothing like the reality of war. And but when we're going through this training, they made sure we understand we take orders, we work as a team, and we don't do anything that's immoral. And that was tough stuff, because in war your morals are put to the test, and we have no obligation to take immoral orders. And trying to figure out what is moral and immoral is very difficult in time of war. And so anyway, this has been reflection to me on what's been what we're getting ready to do is go to this party and give them a kind of a farewell kind of thing. And so it's making me think a lot about this stuff. And it's going to be fun listening to all these, because like I say, I don't think we have any Marines in this little group here that we're going to be going with. So that's why nobody can relate to the stuff that I do, and I sure can't relate to the stuff they do. My friend here, he was in the Air Force, and it's funny because we talk now, and we were in Vietnam about the same time. Well, as a matter of fact, he was in Thailand in the Air Force, and he worked on radars, and I thanked him. He kept the radars going. In the Phantoms, the F-4 Phantoms, he kept the radars going so they could come protect us when we got in our, in our conflicts. And he didn't really realize what he was doing, but he was saving my life. It was cool. And so, putting a face, I knew when we called in aircraft, we wanted them in. We didn't want no excuses. But we didn't have the faces for the people. That are backing us up. And he didn't have the faces for the people, in our case, the Marines, that he was helping to protect. So it was a big thing. And so this is going to be kind of a cool thing. But anyway, I wanted to share that with you. This is Mike. NoStressMike.com.